The story begins with the introduction of a young prodigy by the name of Isaac von Gogh. At the age of 10, his recommendation to the Royal Academy would be accepted, which would cause for a celebration. With his brother Jonas, he too would be gifted in the art of music, as he would play on this joyous occasion. That is, until Isaac would begin to wake up and realize it was all a dream. Moments later, a man by the name of Lucas will walk in and greet him. He would notice of his condition as he would offer his meal of beef stew with a side of cheese. Isaac would inform Lucas of the dream that went back 20 years into the past, as moments before entering the academy, he would catch the flu. This sickness would last 3 months, as there were no signs of recovery, though a scholar from the Magic Tower would inform his father of Isaac's mana being abnormal. This condition would have no control, as it eventually would cause Isaac's mana to burst, making everyone around him injured. Though one incident that would cost the right arm of his brother Jonas, he would tell his father to lock him up to where no one would get hurt. This would lead us back to the present. As Isaac begins eating, Lucas would begin showing symptoms of mana poisoning as he would cough up blood. Isaac would inform him of not staying by his side too long, as he would need to rest to make a full recovery. He would add that the danger of a mana explosion could happen at any moment and would tell him to rest as Lucas would begin making his leave. A year would pass, and with no signs of Lucas returning, he would hear of his passing. Isaac, in response, would lock his doors to prevent anyone else from entering, as he doesn't want to harm those he cares for. A few years would pass as Isaac reached middle age. During that time, he devoted himself to studying magic and meditating to overcome his illness as several years passed. Now, at the age of 71, he would find a clue in overcoming his constitution, though a sudden visitor would arrive, revealing to be his brother Jonas, as he would ask to come in. Though, for safety reasons, they would talk from the door as the two sit. Jonas would inform Isaac of the anniversary of their father's death, as he would tell the events in the past as their conversation brings back memories. Acknowledging his talent for storytelling, Isaac would apologize due to the loss of his arm. Jonas would respond that although he had resentment for him, everyone misses him, and this would shock Isaac. Jonas would go on to state that he wished he would see him one last time. As Isaac would be surprised to hear this, Jonas would go in depth to the events of a war where monsters from another world invaded, causing chaos. Though now wishing his brother well, Isaac would quickly open the door to find Jonas lying dead with a wound from a sword. Isaac would take him and begin making his way upstairs, to which he would find the area in ruins. Seeing that it's winter, he would wait until spring to bury his brother in the family cemetery. By that time, Isaac would succeed in overcoming his constitution by demonstrating magic. Feeling it's time to rest, he wondered if he had realized this sooner, would things have changed as he too would begin to pass. Suddenly, he would hear the voice of his attendant Hans, as when he opened his eyes, he would find himself back home. Confused if this was a dream, he would check outside to find his brother Jonas. Now realizing that he returned to the past, he is determined to make a difference in this life. Isaac, knowing the risk of his condition, would turn to Hans and tell him to leave his sight, as he doesn't want to cause him harm as he did in the first life. Hans, understanding, would respond to not shoulder everything alone, as he would begin to make his leave. With Isaac trying to grasp the situation, he would recall his second great-grandfather, Zeke von Gogh. He was a powerful mage reaching the level of 10th class, though his history would be the first clue for Isaac, as he had the same condition as him. Now, to understand this condition, we must use an example. Take this image. The water is the mana that resides in everyone, and the middle is the vessel that holds it while it circulates. In Isaac's case, the water moves at an abnormal rate, which causes an explosion, as the vessel couldn't contain it. In normal cases, you would die, though for Isaac, the vessel restores itself, causing no harm to him. Through years of research in his first life, Isaac would discover a way to overcome his constitution by carving his research into a mana stone, therefore creating a rune stone. This runestone creates a pathway in the system. Though now testing it in the present, Isaac would open up three pathways. This would lessen the burden that is placed on the vessel, though he'll need to create more as this wouldn't be enough. As time passed, Hans would arrive with dinner to deliver to him. Feeling annoyed, he would begin eating as he would enjoy the taste that the nanny prepared. Though Hans would inform Isaac of her absence, as not only her son but the children of the village has caught pneumonia. Isaac recalls the event as the nanny's son, Hinder, would succumb to the disease. The nanny, not long after, would pass away due to the mana explosion, to which Isaac doesn't want to happen. Thinking of a solution, he would ask Hans if monsters were recently subjugated in the village. To which Hans would recall his visit as he caught a glimpse of what appears to be a spider covered with silver fur. This is a winter spider. Though known for their numerical advantage, the problem mainly lies with the mana within it. This would be a clue for Isaac as he notes the mana would be a poison for others if left unattended. Therefore, Isaac would later set out in the woods to collect the herbs and would make way towards the village. Once there, he would arrive at the nanny's residence, to which she would be surprised to see him. Curious on his arrival, she would worry about Isaac catching the disease, though would see that he too has come prepared. He would deliver the herbs whilst giving instructions on making a remedy, as he would make his way towards Hinder to check on his status. Confirming the symptoms of the mana poisoning, he would wake Hinder and inform him to focus on making a full recovery. That following morning, Isaac would set out to an abandoned cave. This cave is where the winter spiders reside in. To prevent the disease from spreading, Isaac plans to exterminate them, though he would need some preparation. Since opening the three pathways, this allows him to be at the level of second class. Though knowing that he can't use it recklessly, he would pick up the frost belladonna that would be a poison for the winter spiders. Now gathering enough herbs, he would begin making his way inside the cave, as eventually he would find the area as bones would be scattered. Inspecting the area, suddenly he would hear sounds as he would quickly light up the room to find them lying in wait. Afraid of the fire, Isaac plans to use this as an advantage to prepare, as he would put on the mask and bring out the herbs. Once done, he would light up the belladonna, as it would emit a poison that would leave the spiders paralyzed. Seeing its effects, Isaac would take the opportunity to deliver a fireball. Though while taking them out, he would notice a few would escape, venturing deep into the cave. Once there, he would feel the temperature drop, as above he would be surprised to see the ceiling covered with eggs. Though suddenly he would hear a crack as he would quickly scan the area. Using the light as a source, he would cast it into the darkness. Though with no reaction, he would be confused. That is, until he noticed above him was the Winter Spider Queen launching towards him. With no time to react, Isaac would quickly evade and respond with a barrage of attacks. Though realizing the effects not working, he would conjure up a plan as he is now reaching his limit. Using the bag as a blind spot, he would close in with the shovel to deliver a blow in the eye of the queen. With this opportunity, Isaac would follow up charging his attack to set the queen ablaze. This would be enough to defeat the queen, though Isaac would soon begin to lose consciousness. As time passed, Isaac would begin waking up in the residence of the nanny, as he would overhear her discussion with Hans, wondering the reason why Isaac was near an abandoned cave. Isaac would recall after his battle, exiting the cave, and would arrive at the village, to which upon seeing Hans, he would fall asleep. Now in the present, the nanny would mention that the herbs provided were able to cure Hinder as well as the children. Hans would be glad to hear this, as upon getting up, they would inform Isaac that he's been out for half a day. Though the nanny would ask the reason why he would go to the cave, Isaac would respond that he failed gathering herbs, though would be relieved to see Hinder recovering from the poison. Though curious on his knowledge regarding the herbs, Isaac would quickly brush it off, stating he read it in a book. Now preparing to return, the nanny would bring a basket of apples, as the villagers wanted to share their gratitude. He would inform the nanny to take a week off, as during that time she can prepare apple jam to go along with his meal of wheat bread. As the nanny would be surprised and would promise an apple pie to go along with it, to which Isaac would agree. With a week passing, Isaac would note that training both mind and body is essential for using magic. As recalling his battle with the Spider Queen, he would notice a change in his pathway as it would increase to 4, stabilizing the vessel. As such, we would see Isaac running to work on the physical body, though with the arrival of his butler and his personal doctor, he would check on his status and conclude that he is in healthy condition. Though Isaac would know that even he doesn't understand his constitution, the doctor would prescribe a potion called panacea that would stabilize a mana's flow. However, this would be a poison for Isaac due to his condition, though it would use this potion as it can help increase his pathways. With the doctor making his leave, the butler would take note of the change in Isaac, as he would state that he has heard of his deeds in curing the children in the village. Informing the outcome if this reaches the public, he would tell Isaac to at least discuss it with him first in the following future, to which Isaac will understand. Though curious on his daily training, Isaac would respond that all mages that have reached 5th class and above have trained their physical bodies and wants to work on his to suit his standards. This would impress him as later that night he would write a report to his father of the deeds he's done and would recommend the path of a scholar as he sees great potential. That said, a knock is heard as a maid known as Rosa will inform the butler of the disappearances of the maids known as Clara and Annette. Though specifically, Annette would be a concern as Rosa knows she hasn't missed a day of work and would worry, as we would begin to see her in an unknown location. The following morning, the maids and attendants would be discussing the events of the disappearances. With Annette as the most recent, it would puzzle the group as her diligence at working hard for the Gold family is to take care of her father. Though Bill at first would deduce she just upped and left, he would theorize that dark magic could be at play. Knowing the condition of Isaac, Rosa would interject as to not create rumors as he even accepted Bill, who was once a criminal. Though with the conversation escalated, the group would be surprised to see the appearance of Isaac, as he would be curious about the story as well. Now moving over to the office, Bill would explain the disappearances that started 2 months ago, with the first maid, Hilde, and the second, Clara, and the most recent, Annette. Curious on the reason Bill would think Isaac is behind the events, as he brings up the topic of Hans being injured as he serves him the closest. Though realizing the slip of the tongue, Bill would plead for his life, though Isaac would suggest a different idea of gathering intel. Later that night, we would see Isaac as he would recall the maids, Rosa and Annette, during his first life. This event would take place after the passing of Hans as well as the nanny. With no one left to attend them, Rosa and Annette would volunteer, though Isaac would ask them to leave. With Rosa telling him to not lose hope, Isaac would pose the question if she has ever been in this situation, to which Annette would step forward and reply that she has, as she mentioned she could have saved Clara if she reached out her hand, and although his situation is different from others, she understood. This gave Isaac a sense of comfort, as now in the present, Bill has informed Isaac of the whereabouts of the missing maids. After gathering intel, he would learn that it was from slave traders, as they used transportation and safety from bandits to trick and sell people off. With everything lining up, Bill would add that money is needed to pinpoint a location, to which Isaac would agree. With Bill thinking he won a score, he would ask Isaac if he has any requests for him to do, to which Isaac would spark an idea, as we would begin to see both Bill and Isaac locked behind bars. So for context, let's go a little bit further back. Now, while Isaac and Bill were heading to the location, they would meet with the broker, though upon viewing them, he would notice Isaac's attire and would have them both locked behind bars. With Bill wondering of their next plan, Isaac would state that he is going to find the maids as he would proceed to use magic to break through. Shocking Bill, he would request to come along. Though informed to escape on his own, he would plead with Isaac to save him. Isaac, recalling his moments in the first life, would remember Bill's connections with the criminal organization as he assisted with providing intel. Though his relations wouldn't last as he would later lose his life due to greed. That said, he will offer an opportunity for Bill to fulfill a request as we now move over to a different area. The man in question is currently eating while conversing with his father, though it's shown that he is no longer present. He would state that he would meet him again once he attains black magic. Curious on the status of his bathwater, one of the merchants would respond, though they would quickly be made an example of, as he would state again that he'll wait as he would begin making his leave. Though as the others would clean the area, they would hear a thud as the boss known as Nears would be seen decapitated. Shocked, they would hear in the distance to what appears to be Bill as he would make his presence known. Moments before this, Isaac would offer Bill to sign a contract that swears his loyalty, as if he should break it, the penalty is death. Shocked by the condition, with no time to lose, he would agree with the terms as the guards would arrive, though Isaac would swiftly knock them out, utilizing ice magic, to which would shock Bill, as it's rare for someone to use it. Isaac would agree, as he would state it isn't practical, but if utilized correctly, as seen with the guard, is a perfect tool for the element of surprise. Though as time passes, they would soon run into the leader of the bandits known as Nears, to which Bill would know all too well. Intrigued, Isaac would charge up his attack and proceed to aim it towards him, though Nears would simply deflect the attack and respond that the two would make a hefty price as he would proceed to walk towards them. However, before he could continue, we would see the ice that was deflected earlier puncture through him. As we would see that Isaac planned this from the start, he would turn to Bill and inform him that he is now the leader of the bandits. As knowing what he needs to do next, he would rush towards Nears and deliver the final blow. With the new leader, Bill, he would release the maze as we would see Annette and Clara returning to the mansion. As time passed, Annette would report the following events to Isaac as it would start as a rumor among the maids. With an opportunity to work down south, this would begin the sudden disappearances, as Annette would soon be kidnapped while searching for their whereabouts. When held captive, she would notice the environment in the sewers can change a person, as one could lose their mind if stayed longer. She would point out that the gate was broken as she could have escaped, but with the timing of Isaac's arrival, they were able to save everyone as he would thank her for the report. Though Annette would note that although both her and Clara were relieved, Hilda, the first maid, was nervous about returning to the mansion, to which Isaac would take note. Annette will once again thank Isaac, as she believes he is the reason they were able to return home. This would surprise Isaac, as while making her leave, he would note of her potential within, and would keep in mind to one day teach her magic. As time passes, we would move over to Bill, who is now the new boss of the criminal group. The men who formerly worked for Nears would mention that although they were planted here to spy, they would be offered to the knights as tribute, which would put Bill in a predicament. That said, a few days would pass as we move over to Isaac. Recalling his battle with Nears, he was able to increase his pathway up to 5. This will allow him to take note of practicing multicasting, as the element of surprise could only go so far. Seeking to become stronger to protect those he cares for, he would rest for the night. The following morning, Isaac would await to find Hans and the nanny preparing his clothes. Curious on the sudden occasion, the nanny would inform Isaac of his father's arrival, as we would begin to see a man making his way towards the mansion. Recalling the past, Isaac would remember meeting his father during his years of research. He would ask if he wished for a painless end, to which Isaac would decline. Though once finished with the grooming, he would tell Isaac that this would be their last encounter, as once he makes his leave, we are now brought to the present, where Isaac is in his office. His father would hear of the deeds regarding the healing of the children, to which Isaac would respond that he read about the disease in a book. Asking about his condition, he would inform that no mana explosions have occurred for a while, as Isaac would ask how things are on his end at the Winterband Fortress. His father would state that things have been the same with monsters approaching the fortress in the field of snow. Knights are continuing to defend the area. Though he would note on his way back an incident in the city of Bern, as a soldier would attack a commander, to which the response would be a military tribunal. Confused on the matter, knights by the name of Fickle and Randolph would arrive and give their greetings. With their arrival, father would ask Isaac to leave as they would need to discuss. While leaving, Bill would arrive to discuss matters regarding the slave trading that operates in the sewers. He would inform that the people were bribed to not investigate the matter. Though curious about whom, he would be surprised to hear that it would be the knights from the Winter Band, as the family crest is displayed on their cloaks. Furthermore, Bill would add that one of Near's men's body would be missing fingers, and upon waking finding the rest, he would receive a message that he would be next. Pleading with Isaac to find a solution, he would ask if there were witnesses, as Bill would note that someone with bandages around his head would appear to take care of the men. Realizing the culprit might have been one of the two knights that requested military tribunal, this would anger him as he would make his way towards the dungeon and would request to speak with the inmate in question. The reason for this is to confirm Bill's statement if the Winterband Knights were connected to the criminal organization Nears. As upon encountering the inmate, he would tell Isaac to leave, though upon closer inspection, he would recall the name Kyle. During the First Life, a civil war began during the succession ceremony for the throne. The second prince would lose the title and side with the empire to go against the kingdom. The outcome of this battle would be in the empire's favor, as soon after the civil war would begin, as Carson, aka Kyle, would lead the rebellion. In addition, a book called The Chronicles of Villains became popular during its time, as Kyle is listed within the contents and will go on to become the continent's seventh sword master. And upon closer inspection, Isaac would indeed see the potential within him. That said, Kyle will ask how he knew of his name, and if he really is Isaac as he claims. Isaac would confirm and respond that he knew he was the son of Cation, and would ask him about the involvement of the knights in the slave trade. Though Kyle with no response would return to his cell, Isaac would come up with a plan to try and draw them out. As time passed, we move over to the sewers where two individuals are looking for the whereabouts of Near's men. Reaching the entrance, they would have their guard up only to see Bill escorting them inside. Noticing no weapons, the two would nod and begin making their way. Now arriving, they would notice someone there as they would ask if he were the new boss. Though revealing to be Isaac, one of them would take the knee, revealing to be Fickle and Randolph, to which Isaac would offer a cup of tea as they had much to discuss. Recalling back, we move over to a cabin where we see Fickle and Randolph discussing the benefits of receiving money from Nears. This is when Kyle, overhearing the conversation, would arrive and question the reasoning for this, as we're now taken back to the meeting. Isaac, understanding their situation, is to use the money extorted by the bandits to cover the supply shortages for the fortress, would respond that their actions are sentenced to the death penalty, as he would state they'll be sent to military tribunal. Fickle would think this is unreasonable, as he would ask Isaac if he ever experienced the things they have seen, to which Isaac would answer no. Though understanding the cause, he would point out the reason why they kidnapped the civilians, as even if they didn't do it, the money they profited from Nears is no different from an accomplice, to which this would anger Fickle, as he would draw his sword, preparing to cut down Isaac. Randolph would be shocked, as he recalls originally things were normal, and would begin to wonder if this action is truly for the Gulf family. Though remembering the words from Kyle before his arrest, he would rush in as the two would begin to clash, as Randolph would state that Kyle was right. With Randolph deflecting the attack, he would close in as he would deliver the final blow, ending Fickle. Now knowing the consequences of what transpired, he would ask Isaac what would happen to him as well as his family, to which Isaac would offer an alternative for repayment. As time passes, the story is rewritten to the public of Fickle's involvement with Nears, as blinded by greed and attempted to sell off Isaac, Randolph would come in to save the day, as all the actions are pinned on Fickle. Now moving to Isaac, he is sitting with his father as he recalls the events, knowing Fickle's statement of the lack of supplies. Originally, the Goh family was of ducal status, though due to an incident from their ancestor, Zeke von Golf, this would change as his actions of reducing the royal capital to ash would station the family to the Northern Territory to defend the area. In return, they would receive an annual shield tax, which would be their main source of income. though the reason why they can't make their own money is due to the action possibly seen as treason, though Isaac would beg to differ, as he would state that accumulating their own wealth and canceling the shield tax would be in the royal family's favor, as he would go on to state that we must figure out a way to build our own wealth. His father would agree, but would pose a question as to whether he could provide a solution for this to work. Isaac, pondering the thought, would propose that they cut ties with the church as their rules prevent them from accumulating wealth. With his father stating the people won't sit idly by, Isaac would propose creating a reason that justifies their actions. Upon leaving, both Sheeler and his father would be surprised at the wisdom Isaac displayed, as a few days later we would arrive at an old church. With Bill as a coachman, stepping out we would see Isaac escorted by Randolph and Kyle, as it appears he is tied up, conversing with a cloaked figure. Upon closer inspection, he would verify him as the doors to the church will open, as a lady would appear and would ask the group to follow them inside, to which the group would proceed. Now descending, Kyle would recall a few days before their departure, as he would be sitting with Isaac for some tea. Updating the events that transpired, Kyle will ask Isaac of the reason he hasn't reported him due to his name, to which Isaac would reply that he plans to use him. Confused, Isaac would continue stating he knows of his objective to kill a man by the name of Klaus von Butner, and would inform him that if he helps him, he'll return the favor. As while they make way through Burn City, they would see one of the leaders of the church spreading messages of the cultists and black magic that played through the city, stating to practice on one's faith and to rely on one's God. Kyle, as well as Randolph, would see right through them, though Isaac would inform them to stay on the objective, as the plan is offering himself a sacrifice to the cultists. This is to prove whether the old church is behind the cult, as they would mention Nears during the time of trading, that he would provide silver coins that were minted from the royal family, which makes it all the more strange. Though Isaac, recalling his first life, would remember a time where the cultist involvement would affect the Gulf family, though would note that during this event, the old church benefited from their actions, as they would hunt them down, tie them to the stake, and set them ablaze. This would alleviate the public, though the problem for the House of Goth would begin, as requests for knights to be stationed in the temple as well as other demands would affect their ability to defend the fortress. As this outcome would result in shortages, and with the lack of soldiers, they would fail. This reason would be the idea of Isaac choosing to cut ties with the church, as it would be the first step of improvement for the family. Now back in the present, as the group approaches the entrance, upon opening, they will be shocked to witness the cannibalism that is displayed, to which the lady would state that a new sacrifice has arrived of noble blood. Bill, not having it, would knock her down and would Kyle untying Isaac. He will state only to attack those who engage and to focus only on the objective at hand. As the cultists would begin making their escape, with Kyle checking in on the lady, he would notice that she has no memory of what transpired, though Isaac would ask if she could escort them to their residence, as upon arriving they would find a chest full of the silver coins hidden in the attic. Checking its contents, Isaac would confirm the seal of the royal mint, which would be the evidence that ties the cult to the church. Though upon hearing a voice approaching her residence, Isaac would be surprised to see a priest from the church, as he would ask the lady if the ritual was a success. Though almost in like a trance, she would reply that it was disrupted, to which the priest would quickly notice a presence above and would prepare to take out the lady as well as the intruder. Though Kyle would appear to stop any further actions, as revealing to be Subdeacon Silvio, Isaac would make his appearance known. Moving back over to the church, strapped to a chair, Silvio would reveal the plans of building their reputation in Gulf. He would reveal that to do so, they must create a villain. Gathering the poor and vagrants alike, he would incite to create a religious order, forming them to the cultists as of today. Shocked by this revelation, Isaac would plan to have his butler, Sheeler, take him to the cathedral for the negotiation of cutting ties. Silvio, stating that it's not over, would be surprised to hear that it was Isaac that planned this accordingly, as he would begin to curse him. Though moments later, a mysterious figure would arrive to end the life of Silvio, as upon leaving, Isaac would reveal the figure to be the bishop, Livonius. Meanwhile, just outside the church, a group of soldiers would arrive as they planned to prevent any witnesses from escaping, though Randolph and Kyle above would prepare their attack as they planned to protect Isaac. Now within the church, we move over to Isaac, to which we would see Bishop Livonius. Given his greetings, he would quickly launch a surprise attack as Isaac would dodge it in the nick of time. Isaac, taking note of his technique, would see that he utilized phase shift to the states attached by his waist. Impressed by his reaction, he would deliver another attack, though this time Isaac would deflect it utilizing ice magic. This would come as a shock to the bishop, as recalling Isaac's birth, he knew from the start that he didn't approve of his existence. For context, Isaac's father met his mother through a peace union between the Gold family and the Borderland tribe. Due to this, he sees Isaac as a curse that taints the lineage of the family and would vow to end him, as he would deliver a barrage of attacks. Though Isaac would simply deflect it, as he recalls the sparring sessions with his attendant Lucas. Confined in the room throughout his life would stabilize his mentality, granting the ability to focus and improve his mental strength, to which we would see the results as the bishop has now run out of states. Though finding it strange, Isaac would question the reason he is only utilizing states as his weapon and not anything that resembles divinity. Stating he's been refraining from using it, he would see no other option as he would begin to demonstrate his holy fire, as the blue flame would resemble the purity that no other mage could imitate. Though Isaac, recognizing this flame, would easily be able to showcase it, which would of course shock the bishop. Curious on how he was able to replicate it, Isaac would respond he simply condensed the fire twice, to which would anger the bishop as he would state that it's not possible. Though Isaac would take a step further as the blue flame switches to purple, becoming more potent. This would leave the bishop shocked as he wouldn't understand how Isaac is able to reach this far. Though not backing down, he would put his all into his final attack. Isaac in response would simply overpower the bishop as the flame would incinerate him, turning to ashes. With the battle over, Isaac would note the strain of using too much magic, as Kyle would arrive and be confused to see the scene that transpired. With Isaac stating Silvio and the Bishop Livonius taking each other out, he would notice the status of Randolph, as he has already died while fighting the Paladins, leaving a message to take care of his family. Time would pass as we move over to the funeral. With the attendance of both Randolph and the Gold family, Isaac and Kyle are discussing the events, as Kyle would mention that he could have survived if he had revealed his power. Though having his own reasons due to revenge, he would maintain a profile to that only of a soldier, as the two both understood. Afterwards, Isaac and his father would make their way home, as he would state that the old church influence is no longer tied to the Gold family, that although he knew nothing of the cultists tied with the church, he acknowledges Isaac, as it went according to his plan. Though he would wonder about the sudden change in Isaac, as before his departure, he was just a young boy suffering from his constitution. Isaac, almost speaking through his first life, would respond that he did it for the sake of the Gold family. A moment of silence between the two men, as his father would bring up the topic of his mother, Adele. He would describe her as a girl of wild nature, as at the age of 14 he would be married to her, though this action is to prevent a war from brewing between the families. Though at that moment, the couple would make a promise to not allow their children to become a tool for the house. His father had planned to tell him the story once he's older, but seeing how much he has grown, he would still inform him to remain a child, as Isaac would understand. The following night, we move over to someone delivering a letter from the Gold family, to which, upon receiving it, would throw it into the flames and would not acknowledge them as the masters of the land by any means. The following morning, Isaac's father would congratulate them both as Kyle would request to serve Isaac as he can best utilize his skills. Isaac would request the land of Winfeld, as this area was once Fickle's land. That said, as time passes, we move over to Isaac and Kyle sparring. Curious on the sudden request, Isaac would respond that it's needed to take hold of Winfield, as he would include that this would be part of the plan to where he can have his revenge, as the two would continue their session. Kyle would take note of the techniques from him, as he would begin to wonder how Isaac is able to perform well when he has never learned from the sword. Still, he could see that there are areas of improvement, as he would redirect the attack and deliver a swift kick, as he would inform him that this skill won't be enough to take over Winfield. Isaac would respond that he wishes to be taught, though Kyle would pose a question asking the reason, as he already knows how to use magic. Isaac would respond that this would affect the Goff family, as the ancestor Zeke von Goff had a similar condition to Isaac, though was able to reach 10th class as a mage. Seeing that Isaac has overcome his condition to prevent mana explosions, he notes that he couldn't reveal his abilities, as this would cause the royal family to act. Now knowing the reason, Kyle would begin rushing in as the sparring session continues. A month passes as the group makes way towards Winfield. Accompanied by his butler Sheeler, they will note the area wouldn't be an easy place to reside as crops struggle to grow, and monsters would appear that was able to slip through Winterband Fortress. Suddenly, the carriage would jolt, as a soldier would inform the two that monsters have appeared and to stay inside. Though recognizing the voice, Isaac would ask the man who appears to be Hans the reason of his presence. Hans will reply that he is here to protect them, as he is his attendant, though the monsters known as Hell Wolves would appear and begin heading towards the carriage. Hans, with no time to think, would be grabbed in the nick of time as the monster would collide with them. With Sheila protecting Isaac, he would check on Hans to find that he was alright, as he would apologize. With Kyle finishing things on his end, he would tell Isaac that the other Hell's Wolves are preoccupied to what appears to be one of the Winfield soldiers, as he is enjoying the thrill of battle. Though the two would find him strange, Sheila would inform that he is the commander known as Bessemer of this region, as the two are brothers. Bessemer would take note of the resemblance Isaac shares with his mother, Adele. As when the group settles, Sheila would inform him of Isaac's position as the new lord of Winfield. Though Bessemer would be confused, as he has heard rumors regarding his constitution and would ask if it is true, to which upon hearing the answer he would tell him to return home. Isaac would reply if he were to leave, the area would eventually be wiped by the appearance of the Wolf King. Bessemer wouldn't take the statement lightly, as before his attack lands, Isaac would inform Kyle to lower his weapon, as we begin to see him moments before landing. Surprised by the speed, Isaac would tell Bessemer he intends to protect the land, as he would challenge him to a duel to take command of the camp. Bessemer would find the challenge amusing, as he would tell Isaac their duel would begin tomorrow afternoon, to which the two would agree. Now within the tent, Sheila would disagree with the idea, as he notes that Bessemer is a berserker type, though with no answer from the others, Isaac would tell them to leave as they would only be in the way. Now moving to Kyle, he would inform him to look into something regarding the events as the night begins to fall. The following morning, Isaac wakes up to find a hanging hell wolf over his bed dripping with blood. Surprised, we would find that the soldiers were behind the action, as before Hans could scold them on the matter, Isaac would tell him to not mind them as he makes his way to wash up. Schiller, hearing the action, would be furious but would take note of the calm expression upon Isaac. Following the events after the incident with the cultists, he would visit the church to see the results and would be shocked to see the gruesome scenes that Isaac witnessed during that time. Though, with the arrival of Kyle, he would inform Schiller that since Winfield was taken by Gulf without negotiation, the soldiers' actions were quite lenient. Isaac, curious about the results he found last night, would be informed that the Hell Wolves attacked the area for a different reason. As before he could continue, the sound of the drums would signal the time of the duel. Bessemer would be impressed that Isaac has followed through with the challenge, though would be shocked to see Isaac offering the rules of the duel to be in line with the tribe's tradition, as they both would shake hands in agreement. With Hans not agreeing to this, Kyle would inform the two to watch the battle to see the results. Now, with the two taking their stance, Bessemer would begin the battle as he would rush in to deliver an attack. Though, to everyone's surprise, Isaac would successfully be seen to block the attack. Bessemer, seeing this as luck, would be impressed, though Sheila would note the magic that was utilized the moment the attack was blocked, and would ask the reason for this development. Recalling back a month before their departure, we are taken to the training grounds where Isaac would ask Kyle of a way to defeat him, to which Kyle would state the three conditions. 1. The opponent must be preoccupied. 2. The match needs a specific win condition. And 3. Develop a move that will secure a victory and practice it for the duration of the month. A few days later, Isaac would show signs of deflecting Kyle's attack, which takes him by surprise. For context, this technique is like the bishop's phase shift, only instead of states, the sword is imbued with mana which makes the sword float. Now, to conceal his presence of using magic, Isaac will control the sword's direction by using his eyes to capture the movements of his opponents, giving the illusion that he is wielding the sword. This level of skill was gained during his time in solitude in the first life, as we can see the results coming to light. Though having enough, Bessemer would launch in the air to deliver the finishing blow. Though with the help of the sparring matches with Kyle, the results will show that Isaac is the winner, as the tribe's conditions of the duel only ends when the weapon falls. With everyone seeing this, the soldiers would rush in as they would congratulate Isaac on his victory. Though Bessemer would grab Isaac as he doesn't believe in the results. Isaac would ask if he's not accepting defeat, to which Bessemer wouldn't listen to reason. Schiller, seeing this, would inform the soldiers that this action would be treason if it further escalates, to which the men would hold him back. Later that night, Schiller would speak with Isaac of the reason he hid his magic. Isaac would respond he did it to prevent the royal family from taking action, as their ancestor Zeke von Golf is similar to him. This would take Sheila by surprise as those records are kept hidden, though with Isaac's response of viewing them as secret, he would ask Sheila for assistance as he is ready to take lead as Lord of Winfeld. Recalling his conversation with Jonas in the first life, he would mention the events of Winfeld as a wolf king would appear and lay waste to the land, leaving no one left to defend. Furthermore, with the events of the secession and the church happening all at once, Gulf would declare itself a city-state, as Isaac would wonder at that moment if he could have made a difference. As now in the present, Isaac wants to work on his standing in the family by using Winfeld to establish his position. As the following morning, Isaac would begin to prepare for the Hell Wolves that would arrive in a couple of weeks. Though moving over to Hans, he would refuse to leave as Isaac is unsure if he can defend him from the upcoming battle. To which he would point his blade towards him and ask him to leave or die by his hand. Surprised, though standing firm, Hans would respond that he is ready to accept his fate, to which would throw Isaac off, as Hans is not planning on backing down. As Hans would recall a situation regarding his family, he would remember the generosity of medicine that was granted to him by Schiller from Isaac that would change his devotion towards him, as he would state that you are more than family to me, young master, to which Kyle would chime in on the conversation and would offer to train him. Curious on the reason, once outside Isaac would tell Kyle should something happen to Hans, he won't help him with his revenge. As Kyle would ask the reason he would go this far, though Isaac would respond of his importance and to make him powerful enough to survive. Kyle, looking into the sky, would note the comparison in nobles, as he would state that Isaac is a very strange one indeed. As time passed, Sheila would prepare to make way back to the mansion, as the events of learning about Isaac's ability in magic was to earn his trust. Now with Kyle and Hans, Isaac's next step would be growing crops, which would confuse the two as the land doesn't seem resourceful, though with the vision of the land embedded with gold, Hans would be determined to see the results as he would remain on his side. Though eventually, a situation would arrive where they both would end up surrounded by an unknown group. Moments before the encounter, Isaac would approach Bessemer for assistance in guiding through the villages. as the map shows other areas around Winfeld that will need to be inspected. Bessemer would respond that he is not interested as the Wader tribe does not like the Gulf family. Isaac, making his leave, would inform Bessemer that he will be investigating the Wolf King, and if he is interested, he knows where to find him. That said, as the group would make their depart, they would stumble across a village where the elderly and children are shown. Noting their physical bodies, one of the guiders would inform Isaac of the land polluted by the blood and presence of magical beasts, as the young man would choose either to die hunting or to join the camp. Now moving over to the next village, Isaac would note improving the relations between the Gulf and the Wader tribe after peace was made long ago. Now moving over to the Black Forest, this is when they were brought back to the scene surrounded by Wader tribe members, as Isaac would ask Hans to bring an axe and would show it to the group as proof of defeating Bessemer. Though in reality Hans would have snuck it away unseen. One of the men would ask if Bessemer is dead, to which Isaac would respond that a duel by the Wader tradition was placed stating he is alive. Seeing this, he would ask to come along to meet with their leader. As before leaving, Isaac would inform Kyle of the plan as the two would nod before making his leave towards the camp. Now arriving, the leader would be expecting him, as an oracle would state that greed is the reason. Though Isaac would take note of the village condition. As the leader would ask the reasoning of his visit, Isaac would note the other villagers on his way here and would ask how there are many soldiers stationed here. The leader would respond that it's the strength of the tribe, as suddenly with the appearance of the Hell Wolves, this would shock the leader asking the meaning of this. Isaac would respond if it's strange of their presence and would ask if they ever fought, to which the leader would respond that there was never a need to. And with that, we made it to the end of the video. Once again, guys, thank you for watching. Credits will be in the description towards the authors and writers. And of course, once again, Novelty out.